Welcome to The Wire. This is Sharat Pradhan. And today we are doing a special program on Manipur, on the way things are going in Manipur, what has happened there, what had happened there, and why. We have with us for this special interview, we have a well-known leading journalist from the Northeast. She's the editor of the Shillong Times, Patricia Mukhim. She's been covering the Northeast for several decades, and she knows the pulse of the people, the pulse of that land, which seems to have been currently, by the ruling dispensation, it seems to have been kind of, one would say, alienated, and there is reason for that, and that's the reason what you see there, what is happening there, the which is being termed as an ethnic battle between two tribal groups. It is much more than that. And to me, it seems more like a civil war. But the way things are going and the kind of studied silence the ruling dispensation has observed speaks volumes of how they treat this region, which they had claimed that they had very successfully brought in as integrated it in as a part of India. And today, all kinds of things are being attributed, and the truth is being hidden not only by the government, but also by the mainstream media, which is playing into the hands of the government, very obviously. Welcome, Patricia. Welcome to the show. I would want to know, and I'm sure a lot of people in this country, uh, among them, there's a lot of hunger for the truth in Manipur. What actually led to all this? I mean, we all know that had it not been for that video that went viral, those ugly obscenity that the people of a section of the people resorted to, and the way women were subjected to all kinds of physical and mental torture, everybody has seen. But what is behind this and what is it going to lead to is what we wish to know. So, what do you think is the genesis of this whole problem?
This has been embedded in the whole makeup of Manipur. When the Meiteis were actually conscripted to live in just 2,000 square kilometers of area in the valley, and 90% of the geographical area is inhabited by the Nagas and the Kuki-Zo people. So these are conflicts that have already been seeded in the British policies. The British actually just implanted a policy that they tried out in Assam, where they were collecting revenue from the valley areas because the valleys are productive agriculturally. The hills were non productive, so they didn't think it was necessary to collect revenue from the hills. So they cordoned off the hills and drew a kind of a line, that they call the inner line permit.
Yeah.
So people from actually what the British did was to prevent people from the hills from coming and marauding the plains or the valleys. And now the same instrument, which is called the inner line permit, is used to keep people from the plains from going to the hills. So it's, this British divide and rule policy has just been carried on by the Indian government, which I
Right.
think is very, it's a mindless perpetuation of a very divisive British policy, because
Absolutely.
land is a scarce resource, and if 53% of the population of a state are living in just 2,000 square kilometers of land out of the 22,000 and odd square kilometers that is the geographical area of Manipur, then we can understand that there is this desire to expand, because in that 2,000 square kilometer of land in the valley is also a lot of farmland. Then you have the huge lake, the Loktak Lake. So the space essentially for residential areas is shrinking. Also, because people from the hills are allowed to buy land in the valley, but it's not vice versa. So
Okay. And
think
is
about
there a
the inequality. Yeah.
distinction between the people living in the hills and those living in the valley?
Say again.
is there an ethnic distinction between the people who live in the
Yes, of
hills?
course, of
Yeah.
course. The hills are inhabited by the tribes called the Kuki-Zo tribes, and the
Right.
Kuki-Zo include many sub-tribes. Okay, then there
Okay.
are the Nagas. They are
Right.
considered tribals. The Meiteis, because they adopted Hinduism and they practiced Hinduism in the way that the rest of the non-tribal population did, so they were
Hmm.
considered non-tribes. Yeah,
Okay.
even when they signed the instrument of accession, this talk never came up that they would be considered tribals. They continued, they adapted to being non-tribals, to
I
being
see.
yeah, to being Hindus.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Then
it is only in recent years that they realized they were losing out by not being considered tribals, although they are indigenous to Manipur.
mhm.
So they have been asking for this scheduled tribe status. And this is what creates fear in the minds of the tribes, because we have to remember that Manipur is more about the valley. All the institutions of learning, all the institutions of excellence, health institutions are all located in the valley. Manipur University. There is
Economically, the valley must be more flourishing, much more than those people who
absolutely,
live. Yeah,
absolutely,
all the
and
wealth
because
is there in the
and
valley.
also because see 40% sorry 40 out of the 60 MLAs are from the valley, so all the development funds are deployed in the valley.
The
There's
valley.
very little that goes to the hills. And
Mhm.
under 321C,
Yeah.
they are supposed to the hills are supposed to have some kind of autonomy in administration, along the similar lines of the sixth schedule that is applicable in states like
It
Meghalaya and
doesn't
all.
have the sixth schedule as such.
No, they don't have the sixth schedule provisions.
I see.
And they would do well actually to, instead of just saying that we want separate administration, I think they should define what they really want. The hills,
Mhm.
do they want a sixth schedule status along the lines of the Bodoland Territorial Council, which is quite influential now? They're getting a lot of central funding and they are creating institutions there. So the tribes of Manipur also could think along similar lines, because if you keep saying separate administration, what do you really mean by that? Are
That's
you
right.
looking at a separate state? Are you looking at a union territory? What is it? Yeah.
Mhm.
And the central government will then dilly dally, then will say we will send an interlocutor, and then the violence will calm down again. Manipur will go back to the back burner. None of the media will be interested in it anymore. The only reason why all media has awakened now is because of that
That Goli
atrocious
incident.
yeah, that
Yes.
gory, atrocious, I mean, the lowest form of misogyny that could have
Absolutely.
produced that video. Yeah.
Mhm. Very true. But the point is that now these Metis, they wanted this tribal status, and do you think that ideally should they be getting that status or not? Because considering that they are economically much more well off, socially ahead,
Yeah.
and in educationally ahead, why should they be seeking the status? If they seek that status, then they would be depriving the actual tribals of what the
Yes.
tribals actually merit, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. They are already very progressive people, and they, because they have access to all the institutions. Naturally, they are much more progressive than the hills. In the
Mhm.
hills, there's nothing. The hill people have to come down to the valley for education or go out of the state, and most of
That's
them are trying to study out despite despite poverty and everything. Every family wants to send their kids outside.
okay.
Many of them are in Shillong, some are in Assam, quite a number in Pune, in Delhi, just because they want to get out of that rut of underdevelopment, where they
Right.
live in. So these Meiteis, uh, having been sort of had access to all the facilities, to all the development that they needed in the past, why is it that they suddenly want this scheduled tribe status? If at all,
When did they start
governments
this
in
demand for getting the scheduled tribe status?
Pardon?
When did they start this
Oh, no, there's
demand?
this has been a long-standing demand,
I
and
see.
one can understand that this demand comes only from one reason, which is that they can expand to the hills. You know,
Ah.
that is their prime intention, that they will also be able to buy land in the hills.
In other
I don't
hills,
know.
I'm told that the hills are very rich in minerals, and that is what is attracting a lot of people, including some big business houses of the
Yeah,
country.
that's what we hear, that some rare minerals have been found by geologists, and the intent is also to mine these minerals, and one can't put it beyond this government, because if you look at the speed at which they are modifying the Indian Forest Act, you know, they are
Okay.
modifying it from time to time and redefining forests. It would seem that there is an intent to enter this territory.
Okay, okay. And the government is trying to facilitate them by once you allow
Yeah,
mining, it will become
yeah,
a in for all the mafiosi.
exactly, exactly. See what is happening in Meghalaya, for instance. The National Green Tribunal had banned mining from 2014, coal mining, because the rat hole mining is very, very destructive. It kills people. But
Mhm.
in connivance with all kinds of mafiosi, it's happening, and it's still being transported until the Meghalaya High Court came down very heavily now. Now there's some amount of curb, but still, I mean, governments don't seem to. For the government, there doesn't seem to be any law. The law is applied only for citizens.
Mm. Right, right, and then and government. That means most of the actions of the government have been. I would say. Can I say that they've been shady, and to the extent that the people have not. Either they have neither been given their due, and then forging this divide, deepening the divide, which was uh, creation of the British, is what
Yeah.
has led to this antipathy between the two and leading to this kind of a virtual war.
Absolutely, absolutely. Politics thrives on division.
Mm.
If people were to come together, if people were to have an open mind and understand that they are being used as tools to
Mhm.
propel somebody into politics, I don't think politics would succeed the way it has succeeded now. It's
Mhm.
just by dividing all of us that politics has succeeded. Tribal, non-tribal, then Christians and Hindus and Muslims and all that. Why should religion matter so much? Why?
I think the BJP thrives only on this. Their whole
Yeah,
focus, even in North India and rest of the places, is largely on uh, forging a divide between Hindus and Muslims. And in the Northeast,
absolutely.
because there is a large Christian population, it appears that now their target are Christians. And am I correct if to say that cookies are mostly Christians?
All cookies are Christians.
All cookies are
Yeah,
Christians. Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And Meiteis
Measles,
are
measles.
still all
All
Hindus, or have a
no, no.
divide?
There are no. Some Meiteis are Muslims. They're called
Muslim.
Pangals.
Ah,
Then there are some Meiteis that are still adhering to the indigenous faith called the Sanamahi. Okay,
okay.
and now there is a move to get all the Meiteis to come back, to the indigenous faith.
Okay, okay, okay. And that is what is not being liked by the BJP, and because they would
Yes,
want everyone to. And that is one of the reasons. And the second could be this: is there any truth in this? Since we talked about how they want to exploit the land, the natural resources that the land has, is there any truth? There have been rumors that a top business house of the country, whose owner is supposed to be very close to the prime minister, uh, has already been allotted a huge chunk of land there up in the hills.
I have no, I don't think so. I don't think so. These are allegations. I will
Okay.
not be able to verify this. I'll need some more time to visit the place, find out for myself. But as of now, I haven't heard of anything like that.
No, 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 no issues. Now the thing is that
See, I want to bring in this fact.
please, please, please go ahead.
The, the Chief Minister of Manipur has been trying to destroy the poppy cultivation in the hills. Now, the
Okay.
only reason why the cookies grow poppy is because none, I mean, there's no other thing that can grow. Nothing is sustainable there.
Okay.
Then the chief minister has been trying to bring down the acreage under poppy cultivation on the plea that poppy is turned to heroin and all our young people are getting into drug addiction, and also there's a lot of drug peddling. But we also know that the biggest drug lords are settled in Imphal,
Ah,
so it's not as if the cookies are deriving all the benefits. They are
mm,
just growers. They must be
right.
getting a pittance. And then the
Yeah.
chief minister said that he wants to increase the plantation for marijuana, ganja.
I see. Yeah, yeah, Mariana. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that we want to legalize this because it brings in revenue and it can be used for industrial and medicinal purposes. That is his statement.
Mhm.
uh,
So
so
there's a lot of talk about legalizing marijuana across the world in different countries. In US, they have done it for medicinal purposes already. So, but the point is here, this chief minister seems to be talking contradictorily. Like
yeah.
on one hand, he says that, as you pointed out, that poppy plantation areas should be reduced because he doesn't want this this intoxication to be growing in the name of poppy, by
Yeah.
the use of poppy. And here, he is talking of growing marijuana, which is the more to which people are more susceptible than the heroin or something, because heroin has to be distilled and it's a long process.
Yes,
So
yes.
this contradiction, and as I understand, the patronage, the way poppy, whatever trading of poppy or marijuana is done, it must be with the patronage of the people in sitting in Imphal.
Yes, of course, of course. It has to be. It can't be otherwise, because it's a regular trade. And the chief minister was known to have sought the release of a drug lord that was arrested by a very, very sort of a very, you know, a
Okay.
conscientious police officer, a lady. So
I,
she arrested this guy because he's a drug lord, and the chief minister prevailed upon her to get him released. Prevailed against all odds
okay.
to get that man released. Yeah, and
And did he
finally,
also
you know what this
did
police
he also
officer
vindicate
did?
the officer? Was he also
She
vindictive
returned
towards
her medal. She had got a gallantry medal. She returned it,
us?
and she left the police
Returned it.
force.
Okay. An IPS officer? Was she an IPS officer?
What's happening?
Was she an
She was
IPS officer?
state police. No,
State police.
she's a state police service officer. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so this is shocking. Now, this is again something which has not come out in the public domain here, at least in North India. So people are not aware. This is a very serious matter. And when did this happen?
This
Or when did
happened
this
about 2 years ago.
About
It
2 years
happened
ago.
about two years ago. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so this obviously the drug menace, or the regulation of poppy or marijuana, this must have been going on for quite some time, isn't it? It must have been going
Is
on
is
for quite
my
some time.
is my internet low or what is it? Yeah.
uh,
Oh, this has been a long-standing problem. I
okay.
remember going to Manipur to study this. There was an NGO that asked me to go and study this needle exchange program that they have, because there's so many cases of HIV/AIDS.
Yeah,
So some NGOs have started this. You exchange needles for new ones, even if
right,
you
right.
are an injecting drug user. So this has been a very long-standing problem, and one can understand the anxieties of the mothers, of the parents, about the
Right.
way the young people are going. But then you have to address it in a transparent manner. You have to get people to understand and fight this together. You can't do it surreptitiously as is being done by the Chief Minister of Manipur.
Mhm. Why this chief minister of Manipur, despite being in so much controversy and the kind of things he said of late, when he went to the extent of saying that this video has been, he was blaming whoever sent the video viral. He says that, oh, this has been done only to defame the BJP. while there were hundreds of such cases registered. Now, what does he mean by that? It's a very, very shameful statement for a chief minister to be making.
It, this chief minister is enjoying a lot of impunity. In any other circumstance, this man should have been told to step down, because if he is still continuing, there is no confidence. There's a complete crisis of confidence in Manipur. The hill people can't, they can't accept him anymore as their leader, as the chief
Uh-huh.
minister. He has been overtly, proactively pro Meitei. He has
Hmm.
shown that he is chief minister only for the Meiteis.
Yeah.
How can you
Does
have
he
such a
belong to
chief
the same
minister?
community or does he belong to a different community?
Pardon?
Does he himself belong to the Meiti community?
Yes, yes, he's a Meitei. He's a Meitei.
Okay, 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 okay.
And that is what has
And he's
created this.
making it so obvious that he's only for them. He's not chief minister of the
Yes,
state. Oh
no,
my.
he's not. He's not.
So how and the central government has just given him all kinds of immunity, as you rightly pointed out.
Yeah,
But where is
yeah.
this going to lead to?
See, this violence, even if it comes down, the level has come down maybe because there's so much of humanitarian crisis, and people themselves realize that if this continues, they are the ones who are, being punished, especially the hills. Just imagine this situation where schools and colleges have opened in the valley, and there are not enough schools and colleges in the hills. So many of the people come to they are in colleges in the valley, in the university. They dare not come down now, and
Hmm.
they are instead coming to places like Meghalaya to seek admission.
Right.
There are employees from the hills who dare not come to take up their work in the valley, in the offices where they work.
Hmm.
Such is the divide, such is the fear. And imagine, think of those people whose homes, hundreds of them, have just gone up in flames. They have to start life afresh. What
Hmm.
kind of situation has been allowed to happen in Manipur? This is something that only those who see can really understand. Think
Hmm.
of building your life from scratch. Hundreds of those houses in Imphal Valley belonging to the Cookies have been burnt. Their businesses have been burnt.
I'm told about 160 churches or more have
No,
been
no, no. Over something like 300 churches.
300 churches.
Yeah,
My God. Manipur's population is just about 32 lakhs, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then if so many people how many people have been forced to flee from their homes? It must
Oh,
be in thousands.
there are about 70,000 displaced people. They
My
are in
God.
Mizoram. They are in Meghalaya. Some are in Assam. Others are in Delhi. Wherever they can find a place.
And they are the ones who must have suffered the all the onslaughts by the
Yes,
Metis and their property destroyed, burnt, whatever. So it must be in complete disarray. And how are the people surviving? Leaving their homes without
no,
food, without.
they're living in refugee camps in the most decrepit situation, and there have been people from across the world and the country that have tried to reach out, what should I say, help in terms of
Relief.
food and clothes and medicines and all. You know what
Mhm.
is happening? The people from the hills at one time blockaded the highway because that was the only mode of protest. But then, after good sense prevailed, they withdrew the blockade. Now it is the people from the valley that are blockading trucks carrying food and medicines from going to the hills. So
Okay.
it seems they want to starve the hill people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. That is. And has there been any respite for them after all this has come in public domain, and the prime minister has been forced to make a statement after the Supreme Court's intervention? So has there been has it brought any kind of respite to the people who are being targeted?
No, no, there is no respite. Every day, some firing is happening. Every day, some violence is happening, although on a lesser scale. You see, when the scale comes down, We don't call that normal. It's not normal. And then you have the situation in Manipur that is unprecedented, in that the police armories have been allowed to be looted.
Allowed to be looted.
Yeah, allowed to be looted. About 6,000 guns and about lakhs of rounds of bullets have been stolen by so-called extremist groups that pledge their loyalty to the chief minister. And
Okay.
now what the state is doing is requesting people to bring back those weapons. How can you request?
How
This is a
can you
criminal
request?
offense. Yeah,
Uh,
this is a criminal offense. And
they're,
then
in a- they're
when
requesting
people
a
are
robber,
armed. Yeah,
requesting a robber or a required to return whatever he
yes,
stole, taken away.
yes. Yeah, and then when you know when you know that these so much of weapons are floating around, you know that violence is inherent in that society. And then
That's
there
right.
are these militant outfits, so many of them that have neither signed any instrument with the state or with the central government, and they are all just lying here and there. Now they have started regrouping. A few of them have started regrouping and committing violence. And when they were arrested, they were not, they were not allowed to be sent to the prison. They were not, arrested means they were sort of they were caught by the security forces, and on their way to be taken to the police station,
Oh my God.
there was this
Complete
huge
anarchy.
group of.
This is not in any kind. There's no governance there. That means
No, 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 there's no governance. Complete collapse of governance.
complete collapse. I mean, ideally, such a state should be. I mean, what else is needed to declare an emergency in a state and dismiss the government? At
Yeah.
least
No,
there would
so
be some kind of order.
at some point there was a verbal thing that Article 355 would be imposed,
Yeah.
but there was nothing in writing. So even the security forces, I think they are in an ambivalent situation. They don't know what to do really. And the chief minister was still in control of the situation. It was
Yeah.
not as if the center was in control. No.
Mhm. And do
If
the
you see, if Article 355 had been there, then the chief minister would have had to be in the background. He wouldn't have been able to be in the forefront to control the situation. Yeah.
Mhm. But obviously, since he is being patronized by the prime minister and the home minister, it's very obvious, and
Yes.
the way things are. So there is reason to believe that he has the blessings of the top people of the rulers of the country. Unfortunately,
Of course he has, because he is the poster boy of the BJP in Manipur.
yeah.
He was able to win Manipur twice for them. And then you're heading for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Although, the entire northeastern region sends only 25 MPs, but I think the ruling government today would want every single seat, would want to win every single seat. Manipur
And they
has
would
two seats.
move heaven and earth to do that, do anything to.
Yeah, they would. They would.
But considering that at least the population, there's a divide in the population. So even if 53% of the people who happen to be Metis, the ruling Metis,
Mhm.
they gang up together to make the to BJP win there. Do you think they can sweep the election still with the remaining people 43%, 47% not being on their side?
Elections are very slippery issues. uh, you'll find that before the elections there are so many allegations and counter allegations, and then once the elections happen, so much of money is pumped into the region. you know
Right.
and you must have heard that those cookie militants in the hills, before the elections, they had signed some kind of agreement with the Chief Minister of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, that they would
Hmm.
help the BJP win elections. Just think about it. I mean, money
Okay.
can do such undesirable things. Yeah.
But do you think that after so much suffering, after being targeted systematically by the ruling dispensation, those people are, and after seeing what happened, what has been shown in these viral videos, there would be still people falling on the side of
No,
falling for
not in
money,
the hills.
not in the hills. Okay.
No, not in the hills, not in the hills. I'm sure they've learned the lesson of their lives, but the
Hmm.
valley is a different question. So there will be one MP from the hills and one from the valley.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But the point is that how much of this will impact the other six states? Because as one can see, there are the Nagas are quite agitated about it, the Mizos are agitated about it, and so how can BJP fulfill its design of sweeping the entire Northeast by doing all this? And which has become so blatant now that they have, after all, the women as a cutting across caste and creed and tribes. Do you think it won't impact their minds to teach BJP a lesson now?
I'm sure that we have all learned a very bitter lesson, at least all the other states. And people are now thinking. In fact, there is a lot of discussion in the tribal states, not in Assam. I don't think people in Assam are even worried about what's happening in Manipur. For some reason, they've not been really proactive in showing dissent about what's happening. In all
Right.
the other hill states, there have been shows of solidarity and protest. So, in all of the hill states, I think there is now a lesson to be learned that this is the extent to which the BJP can go to in order to win votes. I mean, they will not mind even using women as the location of violence and all that. Yeah.
Mhm. And what are the police force and the administration? It does it have a domination of the Metis?
The police force is dominated by the Métis, which is why the weapons were allowed to be so easily looted, and
Okay.
which is why those women who were paraded naked, they were first in the hands of the police and then they were handed over to the mob.
Right.
I
Right.
don't think you had any such situation in the past in this country.
I don't think that anywhere else in the country it has been like this. No matter
Yeah.
how much corrupted the police might have been corrupted and how politicized, but I don't think this kind of a thing has happened anywhere. And this the again once again I'll go back to this my earlier question that how do you feel that it impact a large chunk of people across Northeast, leaving aside Assam? The tribal dominated states.
The tribal dominated states now no longer trust the BJP. They see that this is a party that can go to any extent
Okay.
to demolish all the value systems that we believe in, you know, and that they didn't do anything in the face of such violence, in the face of such, uh, impunity. It just shows that they don't care. They don't care anymore what happens. It's as if they're allowing us here to just kill one another. That's all.
Uh, and the home minister who went there, Amit Shah, was there for 2 days while this trouble was on. Of course, that was weeks and weeks after the trouble had begun, and they were complete inaction on their part.
Yeah.
And then they try to give the impression. Obviously, do you believe that this case, this particular case, must have been in the knowledge of the chief minister, and he must have obviously communicated it to the home minister when the home minister visited Manipur?
The home minister is in the know of everything that happens in any part of the country. He doesn't have to be communicated. No. And
Right.
of course what happened was that what they usually do now to to cloak their inefficiencies, to hide their inefficiencies, what they do is they ban the internet, and therefore large sections of the media also couldn't get at the what was happening at the ground level.
Ah,
uh, and I think this is also an area that needs to be really discussed by the citizens of this country as to whether it is not a violation of human rights to ban the internet and for such a long time.
and obviously, this must have been done by design. if internet
Of
was
course,
banned.
of course. Yeah. So you don't want anything to, you don't want the truth to be told. You don't want the violence to be seen by people.
Mhm.
Then
Right.
you can create your own narrative, you know?
Which is what the BJP excels in doing, especially with the
Yeah.
media and their mainstream media in their pocket. And
Yes.
but it is like here we believe that ultimately it is the people who will hit back and who should hit back, no matter how
You
much
should.
they. But there's a the overriding factor here in the north. What plays out is usually that when Modi sets out to with all his the gift of the gab that he has, and he keeps talking and he sways some kind of a magic spell over the people, with the result that they fall in line with him towards the close once the election gets close. Obviously, a lot of money will also be thrown in. But do you think it will make an impact, knowing, having seen him maintaining complete silence, and even after the
No,
Supreme
no.
Court,
See,
you
yeah.
you feel the people are going
See,
to retaliate?
uh, people now have seen through Mr. Modi, because till date, apart
Mhm.
from saying that this is such an offense that has happened, the perpetrators perpetrators will be punished, he never uttered the word Manipur. Okay,
I
till
think he
date.
spoke for less than a minute on the subject.
Yeah. And then he never appealed for peace. I mean, how
Yeah.
can a prime minister not appeal for peace in a part of his country that is torn by conflict of of this nature, this extent?
Mhm.
And it's such a horrifying conflict.
Mhm.
How can he just continue to, be in a business as usual mood?
Mhm. But still, there is this section. Obviously, since the Metis are benefiting out of it, so they would still fall in line with the prime minister and the BJP. And is that the reason that Biren Singh continues to enjoy immunity and will not be touched at all?
Biren Singh is now seen as the savior of the Meiteis, as their protector, their guardian, against the so-called the people that Biren Singh himself terms as illegal immigrants and the poppy growers and drug peddlers. That narrative he has very conveniently created to otherize the cookies, to make
Okay,
them appear to be the,
brand them as the bad,
yeah,
as the bad, and people who
yeah,
are bringing evil into whereas actual evil is being inflicted on those poor people. Is that correct?
yes, yes, yes.
So, what do you think? Where does it go now? Beyond this, now where does it go? Because obviously, the cookies will continue to be targeted, since you have a strongly prejudiced chief minister who has the blessings of people sitting in Delhi. So the cookies are not going to get justice. So what are they hoping to do, and how would they come out of it? Or and are other forces like the Nagas, I'm told, are likely to be aligning there, or there have been some protests in Mizoram as well. So won't this ultimately unsettle the BJP there?
No, no. See, other than speaking only about the BJP, I would like to say that we have to look also at the realities that are
Okay.
unfolding before us, which is that this kind of conflict might, it might have a cascade effect. It might go to other states as well, and we are a very militarized zone,
Hmm.
not just militarized by security forces but also by non-state actors. A lot of
Right.
people, a lot of groups are under talks and this and that with government of India, but they have the arms. So what I'm afraid is that this will have a cascading effect. It will have its repercussions in other states where people will say, oh, we can get violent. So, apart from the politics of it, I think we shouldn't be looking at the politics of it, but we should be looking at the repercussions of the recent conflict that could have a conflagration in other states as well, because this is a region which until about 20 years ago was known as a region of conflict, with
Right.
everyone, one group demanding sovereignty, another group demanding their own state and all that. And there are a lot of arms floating around. So this might have a cascading effect where every group will want to say, okay, it's now or never. We demand this. If you don't give this, we'll get into a violent mode. You know,
Okay.
the Manipur model might become the model for any other state as well, where violence becomes the kind of
Legitimized.
deciding factor. It
Mm.
becomes the way that people will use to get what they want.
which is which makes which should at least wake up those who are sleeping, and
Yes,
which should arouse the conscience of the people who are running this country. And unless they do it, and they want if they want that Manipur, and the effect of Manipur should not go cascading into other states and create a problem for this country. I think it's time for people to realize that this is an alarm bell, and if they don't wake up on time, it could lead to very serious consequences.
absolutely. And then what will happen is, when you have violence, then the government will use its all its authority and reimpose. There are many places where the Armed Forces Special Powers Act has been lifted because of
Yeah.
the impunity it gives to the uniformed personnel.
Mhm.
Then what will happen is, again, these will be reimposed on the plea that there's violence, it cannot be contained by normal means, so we'll need extraordinary measures. So then again, you will go through that cycle of, as it is, we are very underdeveloped compared to the rest
Mhm.
of the country, and
Right.
we have a high rate of unemployment. We don't have
Mhm.
enough institutions, so we will
Right.
regress. This is the fear, that you will regress instead of progressing.
Mhm. And at the moment, the those who come out in support of the BJP, they claim that there has been so much development. The roads now, there are wide roads. The railway connectivity is being built, and all kinds of claims are being made by the BJP leaders. And they also say that, but before that, there was no development. So they are taking all credit. When you talk about this Gori incident in Imphal, the reply is that, oh, we have done so much development and people should understand, and so we are going to, and the prime minister himself has said that, look here, this opposition will always remain out of power because they are only screaming their lungs out and not doing anything. So ultimately they're trying to blame it on the opposition for not raising similar voice when similar incidents, according to them, have happened in other states, and which is trying to say that two wrongs make a right.
No, no, I don't like this whataboutery about politics. And I'm telling you that politics is what is destroying the country.
Hmm.
And if they're claiming that there is development, well, they have to develop all the states equally. Why should they make such claims?
Hmm.
Maybe these regions were not developed as they should in the past because of the large amounts of extortions that were being being the, that ex- when all these people come from outside the region and try to
Yes.
take up developmental works, these construction firms and all, they are being extorted. Maybe
Right.
that is the reason why we are where we are today. But
Right.
if there is, when there is relative peace, at least you can hope for development. But if the region regresses again into another conflict round, then we are in for bad times.
Very, very well said. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, can we say that it is ultimately politics which has brought things to such a pass
Yes,
in a state
yes,
like Manipur? And
yeah,
unless the people who are sitting at the helm of affairs realize this and take it more, deal with the situation more like statesmen rather than politicians, things are
yes.
not going to improve.
We need
Thank you so much,
statesmen in this
Patricia.
country.
It's been very nice of you to have given us so much time and spoken so candidly about the situation there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, thank you.
To receive instant updates on all videos from The Wire, click the subscribe button. and hit the bell icon. Pay to support independent journalism. Click the link in the description and choose the amount you want to pay.